What is going on, guys? I just wanted to hop on here real quick and discuss something that crossed my mind recently, and that is what I would do if I could go back and redo some of my early 20s. And I'm talking basically from the time I graduated college to now, which I just turned 26 a couple days ago. And there was a lot I would do differently, if I'm being completely honest. And it might not really be what you guys would expect. And any part of this video where it sounds like I'm patting myself on the back, I hope you realize that I'm saying I wish I had put these things off and given myself a little more time, and you'll see what I mean in a second. So, to try to put it succinctly, I would say a lot of my current hardships come from a period in my life where I was trying to get everything done all at once and kind of be set up before my life had even really started. Around when I was a junior in college, I was told that I could start an accelerated master's program where I could finish my bachelor's and have about a year left of school to get a master's. And I thought that was great. Get that done basically before I even enter the workforce. That seems like a double whammy. So I graduate college. I'm doing that. I get a job at a university. It's a very low level entry, boring job. But with that job, I was able to do another degree, and it would be almost free, no tuition. So I was like, well, I don't want to have this role forever. So if I do want to get this degree for free or at a heavily discounted price, I should probably start now. So what I started doing was I was doing two master's degrees online at once while doing this job. But in my mind, I was thinking, it's not a big deal. What's the difference between 1 degree and 2 degrees? Either way, if I have an assignment, I just have to do it and submit it. It's really not that big of a deal. I gave myself no leeway, no buffer for if I started to get burnt out or just mentally exhausted. I did not give myself any cushion, I guess you could say. But I just, for some reason, when I make big decisions like that, I don't account for personal well being or just the ability to have free time. I just think these are things I should do and they would benefit me if I completed them. So I'm just going to do it. So for a while, my degrees did overlap and I was writing a lot of papers constantly in the back of my mind. Something is due. I got to turn this in. I got to turn that in after my job, which had me sitting on a computer working just this absolute mindless job for 8 hours. You could see how that is not really the ideal daily routine. And then also, I realized I didn't like this job because it was remote. And as a young single man, I can make another video on this, but I would not recommend a recent college grad to do anything remote if they don't have like a lot of extracurricular stuff going on at the time, because it is very isolating. And I got this job because I wanted to work for this university and it was a good little way to get my foot in the door. But I realized very quickly this is not something I can do long term. I should do long term because just the isolation, the how mundane it was. But once I started this degree, it's like, well, I'm kind of stuck until I finish this degree because I'm not paying full tuition. The benefits from this job is now it's tied to this, so I got to finish before I go and do something else. This kind of started my little cycle where things started to get kind of bad. But for some reason, when I'm making these decisions, I was, like I said, not accounting for my own well-being. Kind of felt like for some reason in the back of my mind, there was like a gun to my head, like, you got to get this degree quick. You got to get all this stuff out of the way. And I was making these decisions 23, 24, not thinking, maybe it's okay if I find a way to get a master's degree when I'm 28, 29, 30. I don't need it I don't need two of these degrees when I'm 24. I can give myself some time to breathe. But yeah, that's just not how I was thinking. And then when some health stuff, surprise, surprise, some health stuff started to pop up. I'd already dealt with some minor health issues for probably about a decade or so since high school, mostly pertaining to dietary restrictions and random stomach stuff. So in that sense, I was used to making adjustments. I had gotten used to that, but I was entering a period of my life where stuff was really starting to go haywire. and things I had never dealt with before were popping up. And at this point, I should have just pumped the brakes on everything, maybe taken a leave of absence from school. But for some reason, these things just did not occur to me, and I just kept going and going and going. And my body was clearly telling me something was wrong, and I just kind of ignored it. And this is where, yeah, things did start to spiral. To wrap up that little anecdote, I did end up completing both degrees, but by the end, I was in such a hole mentally and physically, and I wasn't really getting answers to what was going on, that it's still something I'm climbing out of to this day. So, my advice for anyone who's around that age or completing college or you didn't go to college, I would say give yourself a buffer. Don't sit around and do nothing, because that's obviously the other end of the spectrum where you're waiting and waiting and waiting, not really working towards anything. But if you're putting so much pressure on yourself to get a million things done today and have your life be set by the time you're 26, this stuff can catch up to you if you're not looking out for the practical things that you should be looking out for, like health, just mental well-being, being around other people, being outside, just common sense things. Once your goals or school or work are starting to intrude on that, you need to set up some boundaries before things go off the rails. So even if, it's like, oh, I'm just working on like my associates right now, I don't really feel like I'm where I should be. Maybe you're 26, 27 working on your associates. I would say one thing at a time is plenty if you are making steady progress. It is absolutely true that your body has a limit and your mind has a limit. And once you try to surpass that and you stay there for too long, there will be effects and you will feel them. So just give yourself grace, no matter how old you are. If you're not a bum sitting around doing nothing, then you're making progress towards some sort of goal. You're taking at least little steps every day. Be content with that. Obviously, my intention is not to say don't be ambitious and don't try to do big things when you're young. Clearly, that's not my intention. My story is not a one-to-one blueprint for everyone that is taking on a similar workload. Maybe you personally can do 5 degrees and work 20 hours a day, I don't know, and feel fine. But really, what you should take away from this is that you need to check in with yourself and make sure that you are enjoying your life. You have time to do things that bring you fulfillment. You're spending time with people that you care about, and making sure that your ambitions are not infringing on any of the things that you'll really be appreciative of further down the line. Maybe you take on a little less work, a little less school, and in 5 years you'll look back and be glad that you had time to spend with people you cared about and that you're in good health. So and like I said, maybe you can do a bunch and feel great and all your ducks are in a row. It's really just a matter of keeping your priorities in order and realizing that everything does not have to be done today. So definitely set goals, try to do great things, and live up to your God-given calling. But remember that some things will be okay if they don't get done until tomorrow. So thank you for watching the video, fellas, and I hope you have a blessed rest of your day.